It is said, and rightly so, that Cindy Staymore was a creature of habit. She had lived in the same studio apartment for 25 years and had the same job and boyfriend for that amount of time. Her clothes were in fashion every decade or so when the retro look was trending. She made pasta on Mondays, meatloaf on Tuesdays, chicken on Wednesdays, veal on Thursdays, and fish on Fridays. On the weekends, Cindy went out for Chinese food or pizza with her beau, Bill Brennan. They were in a pizzeria when Bill upended her life. "Cindy, I'm getting married to a wonderful girl I really care for. But I want you to know that I've truly enjoyed the time we've spent together. You've been great company." Cindy finished her pizza and, in a daze, staggered back to her apartment where she screamed into a pillow for 6 hours, tossed all the food in her cupboards and all the clothes in her closets out the window, and knocked the TV and fish tank over. Then she crawled into bed and fell asleep. Cindy stayed in bed for a week. She didn't have energy to cook, so she ordered out. When the weekend came, she felt a bit stronger. So on Sunday, she took herself to a Chinese restaurant for lunch. At the end of the meal, she received a fortune cookie. The message inside it read, "You can't step in the same river twice. Call me if you have a problem with that idea. My number is 1-800-PROCESS." Cindy put the message in her purse and went back to her apartment. That night, she dialed the number contained in the cookie. It belonged to an intellectual soothsayer from Brooklyn. She arranged an appointment with him for the next day. The oracle turned out to be a bald, heavy-set fellow with a Polish accent. He ushered Cindy into his living room and said to her, "What can I do for you?" Cindy replied, "I didn't understand the message in my fortune cookie. Why can't you step in the same river twice? When I was a child, my family and I went on camping trips, and we always waded back and forth in the same river." The seer took out a cigarette, placed it into a long black cigarette holder, and coolly lit up. Then he said, "The Greek philosopher Heraclitus declared over 2,000 years ago that one cannot step in the same river twice because the river is constantly moving. Science has confirmed this process view of existence and has demonstrated that everything in the world is continuously changing, sometimes slowly and sometimes very quickly." "Well, I don't change," Cindy said. "My life just remains the same." The fortune giver replied, "All individuals change over time as new facts present themselves and new circumstances emerge. Are you the same person today that you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Do you look exactly identical? Has your behavior stayed absolutely the same? It's comforting to think that the world and the people in it are unvarying from day to day. It makes for easy predictability. But life is process, so change must occur." The sage's words caused Cindy great anxiety. Change might be useful for doing the laundry or buying a newspaper, but the idea that life is process was not a pleasant one to envisage. "I should have gone out for pizza on the weekend," she thought. The diviner sensed Cindy's discomfort, but he believed it was in her best interest to press forward on the subject of change. So he said, "Cindy, have you ever heard of dating?" "Of course I have," Cindy replied. "I dated the same jerk for 25 years. I'm an expert on the topic." "I don't mean that kind of dating. I mean the general semantics idea that involves attaching dates to our evaluations to remind us of the fact that we live in a changing world. For example, Iraq 2018 is not Iraq 1998. Joe, who is working out this month, is not Joe sans workout last month. And computers now are not computers a decade ago. Dating shows that we live in a restless universe where everything transforms over time." Cindy wasn't sure about the universe, but she was feeling pretty restless. This pudgy prognosticator was making her consider things she had spent her whole life trying to avoid. But she wasn't going to accept reality without a fight.